Welcome back to the catch up here on Cris Cyborg's YouTube channel. I am James Lynch. She is Cris Cyborg. Cris, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great. I just did an amazing session training with Cobrinha. Now I got it back and very excited for my next fight, next news.
Yes, we're looking forward to what is next for you. Before we get into all the news today, got to remind our audience, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It's an easy way to support us without having to pay any money. So it's an easy thing to do here. But I actually wanted to start this off a little bit different this week. I was looking on your Instagram. I always love checking out all the stuff you're posting there. You had what looked like a pretty good barbecue last weekend. What were you cooking? I got to know.
You know, Fabricio Werdum has a brother, Felipe Werdum, and he's expert about barbecue, you know, in Brazil, and who's the south from Brazil, in Porto Alegre, then called Gaúcho. They're very good to do barbecues. And his title program, you can check it out him on Instagram, but you're going to learn doing Brazilian barbecue, you know, okay. And I'm a Brazilian, and he's teaching me a lot of things I didn't know before, like his black belt about this, but his black belt jiu-jitsu is very good capoeira too. But you know, I learned a lot of things, and the people can go to my Instagram, check out more about me, about him, about the life. And it's nice to learn. Every day's learning is just ID more for when I'm doing barbecue in my home.
Now, the most important question, is this barbecue, is it safe to have during training camp, or is it a little too salty? Do you have to, not have it during camp?
No, usually I don't have it. Usually I'm no meat person. I don't eat meat all the time. I really just fish, salmon, especially when I'm in camp. And especially when I'm in cutweight, my body, I think I say too much eat fish. My body works well with fish. But no, I love it sometimes meat. But who love to eat meat, is welcome to do the train with him.
Yes, that looked very delicious. If you guys haven't checked it out, like I said, go check out Chris's Instagram at Cris Cyborg. It's February, Cris, new month, and we just passed the 11-year mark of your title defense against Marloes Coenen in Strikeforce. I saw that pop up on the memories. What do you remember about that fight? Because I remember that being pretty awesome matchup back in the Strikeforce days.
This is crazy. Like, it's 11 years ago, I was world champion. Yeah, it looked like it yesterday. Me and Marloes Coenen fought twice, in Invicta and Strikeforce. And, she's a really tough girl. And people don't give so much credit for her, but she's a pioneer in the women's MMA. And, I just say hi to her. Now she's a mom, too. But we did a great fight together, and she's a big challenge for me. And it's nice. It's nice to have a good memory, but for me, it's yesterday. It's 11 years ago, but look yesterday.
And it's cool to see where both of you are. You're, a Bellator champion. I believe she's still doing some correspondent work for Bellator, because Cris, I didn't think I told you this. I sat next to her at the Fedor and Matt Mitrione card, which was actually the Chael Sonnen and Vanderlei Silva card, the New York card for Bellator a couple of years ago. And that was pretty cool. I was sitting, in press row, and I looked next to me, and there's Marloes Coenen. So I know she's been doing a lot of great stuff, like you said, being a mom. And it's cool to see her get into the broadcasting game as well, because she's been doing some of that stuff for Bellator, right? So.
No, she's a pioneer, she knows what she's talking about. She's training for, she fight for. It's nice to see she's still acting and helping other fighters and be the commentary.
We talked about Strikeforce there. Speaking of Strikeforce, the former Strikeforce champion, Alistair Overeem, is going to be fighting this Saturday in the UFC. Pretty incredible that at 40 years old, Alistair Overeem still getting wins at the highest level, but he's got a tough test against Alexander Volkov, the Russian, who's also a former Bellator fighter. Volkov, a really durable guy. How are you looking at this fight? It's a pretty interesting matchup on Saturday.
Overeem is still one of the best, the MMA. I believe he's great. I think everybody would like to see maybe can put his career fight for the UFC title, UFC champion. And, and he's the legend. I watch him in K1, I watch him in the Pride, and people follow MMA now, how's amazing fights before and the day, how it works.
Yeah, really tough fight. I think Volkov might win, but I got to be honest, Cris, as an MMA fan, how cool would it be to see Alistair Overeem get closer to a UFC title shot and potentially win a title? Because that's the only one he's missing, right? He's got the Strikeforce title, Dream title. He was a high-level fighter in K1. It would be cool to see him get a UFC title as well. So we'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Switching gears, we always talk a little boxing on here. I know your good friend Vergil Ortiz Jr., former Catch Up co-host, has got a fight against Maurice Hooker coming up here. Really big fight in terms of, the location of this. They're both from Texas, so really a notable matchup coming up here. And I heard a crowd, or they're going to bring in crowds for this one, right? Texas is a little bit more lenient. Will you be going to the fight? I'm curious.
Of course I will go to Vergil Ortiz. We train together. I train with his father. I see his training. He's amazing athlete, amazing kid. No kids already grow up, but he's nice. And they always work, sometimes teaching me a couple things. And they're going to step and fight him on former world champion. I know it's going to be a tough fight, but I know he's going to be ready. And this big challenge is going to be his hometown. They're both hometown. And, I'm with him. If I know it's going to have some crowd, maybe if I can fit my schedule, I can be there in person. For sure, it's going to be learning a lot to watch and to share to him.
And I think that would be cool for him having, the Bellator champ, watching the fight live. So that would be pretty cool if that happens. Sticking with boxing, we've had a lot of boxing news lately. Ben Askren, someone I know that you're very familiar with. We've talked about him on the show before with Bitcoin, and you guys both did that watermelon challenge, or the squeezing the watermelons. He's boxing Jake Paul, a YouTube star. What are your thoughts on this? It looks like it's actually going to happen in April.
I hope we both make money. And then I was surprised a little bit how Dana White let it go. He's fighting, Jake Paul and boxing. But I don't believe he can do this same Nick Diaz fight to Jake Paul after he's 7 years retired. But I think I'm not going to be surprised if after he beat Ben Askren, he's going to the UFC. Jake Paul. I think maybe it's a big opportunity, and I believe it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, it's a smart move by Paul because, of course, of all fighters you could pick to fight, you're fighting the guy in Askren who's not really known for his stand-up, Chris, right? Like we saw in the Damian Maia fight. Striking's not really up to par with some of the other fighters. So this is a boxing fight. Ben can't go for the takedown. So it's going to be very interesting in terms of the matchup.
It's going to be a tough fight for him.
Yeah.
But he always have to be ready for the challenge.
Yeah.
And he's accepted for sure he's ready.
No, for sure. And that's what makes it so interesting, right? Because Ben's a martial artist. Not just a martial artist, he's an Olympian. He fought in Bellator for a while. Like, people saying that Ben Askren's going to lose this fight, I mean, I think there's a lot of intrigue here because Jake Paul looked good in his last fight, Chris, but he knocked out an NBA player, right? It's not the same as fighting a martial artist.
No, maybe we can do a boxing fight after on wrestling challenge.
There you go. Now, I like your thinking on that.
Wrestling, yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, would you be open to doing any celebrity boxing like that? Because, that's kind of where we're headed now. We're seeing a lot of these YouTube guys come in here and get in the boxing world. Is that something that would interest you at all?
I saw Jake Paul talk to Adi, my manager, Tuesday manager McGregor, talk about make them fighting. For me, I was open to fight. I was training. I was ready. If I have the opportunity to do one boxing fight, for me, it's going to be a dream come true. I don't know this. I don't know. I was ready to wait his call.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Hopefully it does happen. I've been talking to some people in the boxing world, and they want to see you over there too. So it would be great to see you get a boxing fight at some point. But for now, you got that Bellator featherweight title to defend, and I'm hearing some names, right? We're hearing Leslie Smith, we're hearing Julia Budd, Sinead Kavanaugh. Out of those three fighters, who do you think is the number one contender? Who do you think you will probably fight next?
Leslie Smith, I think after our last fight together at UFC, she have just one loss after that. And she's being win, and she beat the girl, Nava.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. In her last fight, yeah, she got the win.
Yes.
Yeah,
she beat, yes. And, we did a great fight in Brazil. 50,000 people watching the event live. And for sure it's going to be a different experience if you fight no crowd too. But Leslie, she's doing great in her division. And Julia Budd, she's... Before we fight, she's 8 years undefeated.
That's right, yeah.
And she won her last fight. I know her last fight, her contract finished with Bellator, but I'm not choosing my opponent. I was ready to fight. And who Scott say, Chris, you prepare for this fight, this girl, I will. And and then the other girl, say her name. I'm sorry.
Sinead Kavanaugh. Yeah, you're talking about her.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kavanaugh.
No, don't worry about it. It's all good. Yeah.
If she says 7 fights, 3 losses. I think she'd have to keep it going. But I'm not here foresee who's my next opponent. And just be ready in training. Who is stepping the cage? Be ready because I'm ready.
Yes, you'll fight anyone. We know that. I think if they do book you against Leslie, they should do Julia and Sinead just to kind of do like a little mini tournament. I think that would be kind of cool. So we'll see what they decide to do. As we always do, we always talk about animals on here. We have to. We got the Cyborg Zoo account. If people haven't checked that out on Instagram, it's great. I saw you got some new turtles. Tell me about that a little bit.
You know, I always cannot go to pet shop because if I want a pet shop, I want to get on.
You're going to take all the animals home, yeah.
And then we have a pond, fish pond, and they have some little fish, but then very hiding because cold now. And they see some fish, coin fish, but my pond's not too big for have coin fish. But and then I see some turtles, and I say, no, let it take 2 boys. And they got 2 boys now. They live over there. It's very nice. Put some life in the fish pond. Very
now,
cool.
I know you name your animals after fighters. Did the turtles get a fighter name, or are you still deciding their names?
I didn't put the name in them yet, but maybe, maybe
we'll
think
see.
about it.
Okay, I'll be keeping tabs on that. As we always do on the show, our Portuguese saying of the week. We got some fights this weekend. I figure we'll stick with that. So, Chris, how would I say when are the fights on?
When are the fights on? Quando?
Quando?
A luta vai passar.
Passar.
Isso.
Quando
a luta
veluna
vai
passar.
Sim.
There we go. Every week, getting better and better. I can see it. 1%. That's awesome. Again, we don't have a fight book for you, but I know you're always in the gym, keeping busy. What's this week looking like for you in terms of training and other things you got going on?
Next week I'm going to Connecticut.
Oh, cool.
And do some film to Bellator. And for sure going to have a meet with Scott Coker and Mike Cougar. And, I'm very excited for seeing the next step for my next fight. And I always be active in the training and wait for the opportunity to come. And
I'm sure, keeping busy training. I guess we'll hopefully find out when Bellator is going to do some events, right? I know they've been kind of figuring out the dates and everything, but you must be excited because whenever you got a meeting, that means fight news soon, right? I'm assuming.
Yes. This is, I always say you have to wait for the opportunity, but sometimes you make the opportunity happen. And if we training and the opportunity coming, we are ready for the fight. Yes.
Yes, it's going to be great. Before we get out of here, as we always do, got to plug the premium service on CrisCyborg.com. For less than a cup of coffee, you can get to hang out with Chris. They got the Q&As. There's a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff. So if you guys haven't subscribed to that, if you're a big Chris fan, definitely go check that out. Like I said, very cheap, easy to manage. And it's cool because, Chris, you get to talk to the fans, right? It's very rewarding for you as well.
Yeah, so you guys can go check it out on my website. It's a nice time to give some love for all my fans. And then we have techniques every Thursday too. And you always be with me. And for sure, you're going to be the first person to know the news. Who is going to be next fight? Don't sign up. Go to my membership.